Greetings, welcome back. So I'm wearing a New England Whalers jersey for this one. Bit of a big neckline, so I've got a jersey on underneath, but that's okay. That's fine. Actually, it's a tank underneath. So the league is separated into three divisions. I'm not even getting into scoring leaders and goaltending leaders for this one because, dear Lord, we have some stuff that doesn't make sense, and some teams that just disappear, and teams move, and divisions that, well, you got two divisions of 5 teams, one division of 4, and then you have like quarterfinals, semifinals, and a world championship. So yeah, let's go through the standings. The Quebec Nordiques are first, 46 and 32 with 92 points. In the Canadian division, see, there you go. You have a Canadian division, just Canadian, Western, Eastern. See, this all tells the future. It's all in the WHA. Everything that's going to happen is right here. Toronto Toros, 43, 33, and 2 for 88 points. So, pretty solid season for Toronto. The Winnipeg Jets, 38, 35, and 5 for 81 points. And then the Vancouver Blazers, they end up 37, 39, and 2 for 76 points. So, the Edmonton Oilers end up being last in that division, 36 and 38 and 4 for 76 points. Now, in the Eastern Division, where there's 4 teams, the Hartford Whalers, still under the name New England Whalers, are easily first, 43, 30, and 5 for 91 points. Cleveland Crusaders are 35, 40, and 3 for 73 points. The Chicago Cougars, we will talk about them a few times in this video. They are 30, 47, and 1 for 61 points. And check it out, it's the expansion Indianapolis Racers, 18, 57, and 3, 39 points. It is an unmitigated disaster that season for Indianapolis. But of course we know that Indianapolis will play a large role in bringing a player into our world that will become the greatest player in history. And I know that's an arguable point, but it's one that I do feel. Western Division is led by Houston, who are 53 and 25, 106 points, and they are 14 points clear of the Quebec Nordiques for what would have been the President's Trophy there. I can only assume there wasn't one. San Diego Mariners, 43, 31, and 4, 90 points. Minnesota Fighting Saints, 42, 33, and 3 for 87 points. The Phoenix Roadrunners, so Phoenix is in this league now, 39, 31, and 8, 86 points. And the Michigan Stags, who would move in the middle of the season because this is how things work in the WHA, 21, 53, and 4 for 46 points. And of course the league is contracting and expanding because that's what leagues do when leagues are all about fun. And this league is all about fun. Now in the playoffs, Houston would knock off Cleveland 4-1. Minnesota knocks off New England 4-2. Quebec beats Phoenix 4-1. San Diego knocks out Toronto 4-2. Gosh, sarn it, you evil owner of the world. Yeah, I was going to make a Batman comment because Toronto's out. Anyways, in the semifinals, Quebec wins 4-2 over Minnesota to go to a finals against Houston, who swept San Diego. So they lost 1 game against Cleveland. They lost nothing against San Diego. And then in the Avco World Trophy final, against Quebec, yeah, they sweep it 4-0. Scores 6-2, 5-3, 2-0, and 7-2. So Gordie Howe leads Houston to another championship, and this is why people talk about Houston here and there. And it's interesting when you go through this. So Quebec, people want to see a team back in Quebec. We've got an NHL team in Toronto, Winnipeg, Vancouver, Edmonton, yes. Hartford. There will be some who argue for Hartford. There will be some who argue for Cleveland, although I don't think it's going to happen. Chicago obviously has the Blackhawks. Indianapolis, not likely. Houston, there's an argument to be made that Houston's the next team coming into the NHL at some point through probably relocation. San Diego, not very likely, but we've seen expansion into California since this league was around. Minnesota, well, they lost a team and got a team back since this all went down. Phoenix, of course, there's all the debate about Arizona with hockey. And Michigan, which was Detroit, and then Baltimore. I haven't heard anything about a Baltimore NHL team, but you just never know. Things could just change. If the NHL ever decides to follow this whole haphazard idea of just stick a team wherever, just do it. Just put a team wherever. Who knows what might happen? So, September 26th of 1974, Houston, easily the best team in the league, has an exhibition game against St. Louis, NHL versus WHA. And Houston wins it 5-3. First time there was an exhibition game between the two leagues. And it was important that we saw a good result for the WHA, more so than the NHL, because again, the WHA is trying to prove itself as a viable alternative to the NHL. And when you've got teams moving in mid-season, some shakiness to that. October 15th of 1974, Vaclav Nedomansky debuts for Toronto. One thing the WHA pioneers, so we got into how they got rid of the reserve clause, right? And the NHL eventually had to get rid of it. They also say, hey, we need more players. There's all these guys playing in Europe that are pretty good players. The NHL, it's all about North Americans, mostly Canadians, but you get the odd American in here too. But the idea of bringing over European players, well, the WHA is all over that. They're like, hey, players are players. So they bring in Vaclav Nedomansky, who leaves Czechoslovakia, which is behind the Iron Curtain at the time. And it's kind of a big deal. And we start seeing Swedes come in for this league eventually too. So him making his debut for Toronto, kind of a big deal. November 10th, 1974, the Oilers opened Northlands Coliseum. That's right, that Northlands. 15,326 fans for that first game. There are a lot of fans in attendance. It doesn't mean this league's making money, but certain teams likely are. And so while we're still going to get conversations between the NHL and the WHA about possible mergers, to which Clarence Campbell says over my dead body, but, it is what it is. December 27th, 1974, players buy their Chicago Cougars team. Pat Stapleton leads the way. And so the Chicago Cougars, a team that's having some ownership issues, the players go, fine, we'll buy it. We'll buy our own team. So the players own the team. And we'll come back to the Cougars in a minute here. January 18th of 1975, the Michigan Stags, with a name like that, how long are they going to last? Till January 18th. I just gave it away. They cease operations, and then they become the Baltimore Blades, and 5 days later, they play their first game as the Baltimore Blades in Hartford, which they lost. So, again, you've got a team moving mid-season. It looks bad. It looks terrible. It is not something you like. How do you even come up with a jersey change? How does that work? They stop playing, and then they get a new name, and here's your new jersey. And I don't know, at this point, shouldn't they all just be wearing jerseys that say WHA on the front? You just alternate the colors. So, February 14th, 1975, a Valentine's Day present for Bobby Hull. He nets his 50th goal in his 50th game, and he's the first pro hockey player to do that since Maurice Richard did it. Only the second in hockey history. But you can also use this and say, it shows the WHA defensively and in terms of its goaltending is not as good as the NHL. There's no way Gordie Howe scoring 50 goals in 50 games in the NHL. April 4th, 1975, St. Paul gets 17,312 fans to a regular season game, which is a WHA record at that stage, in a 2-1 loss against the Phoenix Roadrunners. So, this is kind of, a big deal that you're getting that many fans into a game. April 6, 1975, Bobby Hull scores his 77th goal, which passes Phil Esposito's 76 record. So he scores the most goals that any player has in a season in pro hockey in North America. And of course, this is a record that is no longer recognized. All the records we recognize currently are NHL-related records because they won the war. The Cougars also that month suspended operations. Makes sense. Players are not businessmen. They're really not. And so Chicago, being desperate enough to sell to the players, tells you all you need to know about how fluid things are with Chicago. So Chicago, we suspended operations. May 7th, 1975. Baltimore, the Baltimore Blades. You know the Baltimore Blades. No, you don't. They just suspended operations too. So they get a team in January, and in March, or in May, I should say, they're suspending operations. 4 months. The team lasts 4 months in Baltimore. And that's not 4 months playing, that's 4 months altogether. 4 months. Meanwhile, the Vancouver Blazers transfer to Calgary, and they're renamed the Cowboys, because why not? And they are given, I think, arguably one of the worst jersey designs in the history of hockey. And I know there are other designs in the ECHL people are going to bring out. I know people are going to bring out all these European designs, but I just think it was terrible. I think the Calgary Cowboys was a terrible design. Not only that, how we didn't copyright and trademark still exist at this point? Like, it just, I'm surprised there wasn't a Vancouver Yankees. Like, I'm mildly surprised that we didn't get a Vancouver Yankees, maybe something along those lines. I guess trademarks and copyrights weren't as big a deal back then as they are now. So, yeah. And so here's the thing. You've got 2 teams of suspended operations. Another team has moved. Teams are moving so much that the book I'm using for source material for this isn't even going over all of the moves. It's just going over the really notable ones. Notice the Ottawa Nationals, they're gone. Don't worry, another team's going to move to Ottawa next season. Because of course they are. But we're going through so many moves that you got to be saying, okay, we've got to stabilize things. What better way to stabilize things than expansion, right? Yeah, we need more money. MLS has been doing this for years. Denver. The Denver Spurs are an expansion. The Denver Spurs? Seriously, the Spurs. Maybe it's to confuse American fans. Hey, we added the Cowboys and the Spurs to our hockey league. What? What's going on with the hockey? Where did the Dallas Cowboys just move and change sports? Did the San Antonio Spurs, are they taking all the teams out of Texas? It's a bold decision to take a league that's bleeding money. The teams aren't staying in the same spot. Teams are going under. Owners are going out of business. Players are trying to buy teams and say, I know what'll fix this. More teams. It's sort of like going, man, I'm having so many problems. I've been cheating on my girlfriend. And 2 women is too much. You know what'll work? I need a third girlfriend. This is a really good idea. It's just as smart as that. This is just as smart as that. And just as dangerous. Just as dangerous. It's really a bad idea to do that. Trust me, it's a bad idea. And then June of 1975, Houston changes ownership, and they declare Gordie Howe to be the playing president for the Houston Astros, or Houston Aeros. There's an Astros reference. Put a dime into the swear jar in that one. And yeah, of course he is. Of course he is. And everybody else will be the King of France, and why not? This league, we're into year 3. This is where you need to start seeing stability. You look at the National Hockey League in its birth, and sure, you had a building burn down, you end up with 3 teams, 4 teams, playing with the idea of maybe having 2 teams at some point. It's like, you had struggles, but not like this. It was never like this with the National Hockey League, even in its worst. And there were some points during the 20s and 30s where it looked like the league could fold. But this is just all over the place. Legit all over the place as teams keep moving around the map. So as we go into tomorrow, I guarantee you more teams are going to move. Teams are going to fold. Players are going to set records. And the National Hockey League has virtually nothing to worry about. But again, first the reserve clause, now bringing over Europeans. The WHA, the league where the W stands for fun, is changing the game. They are changing how the game will be played. And the changes they make are ones that lead to the game evolving into the one we have now. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.